Hello everybody, and welcome to this demonstration video. Today I am going to be showing you how you can create your own handmade journal, similar to this one. These are fairly simple to make. We're going to be doing a stitch binding such as this. And yeah, should be fun. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to do in the process of creating your journal is you're going to get your paper. So the cover is actually the same size as the paper here. Because of that, we've gone ahead and we've cut a 1/4 inch off of each side, or off of two sides, I'm sorry. We've gone ahead and cut a 1/4 inch off of two sides of the paper, just one long, one wide, so that whenever your book lays flat, there's a little bit of a gap right here between the pages and the cover. Once you have your paper cut, which if you're using the take-home components provided by the library, they should already be cut. You're going to just fold every piece of paper. Just line up the corners roughly-ish. Try to keep it as even as possible. And then we're going to fold. We're then going to take a bone folder and we're going to smooth the creases. This just makes them nice and sharp and will just set just a little bit flatter. If you do not have a bone folder, which is likely you don't, you can use a Sharpie. Use the rounded edge on the corner and you can burnish that crease. Once you have all of your pages folded, and if you're using the take-home components again, you should have 16 pages. You can then go ahead and start compiling your signatures. Signatures are the chunks of pages that make up your text block. So the text block is all the pages within your book. Within your journal. That's all of the pages provided to you. A signature is one set of them. So we're going to chunk our text block into multiple signatures, and then we're going to sew the signatures together so we don't have to sew every single page together. To do that, we'll just take one of our folded pieces of paper like so. We take our folded piece of paper and we insert them into one another. You don't want to do too many of these because they will start to push out from each other like this, so that they're not completely even anymore. I would recommend doing 4 pages per signature. So I'm going to just put this in there. So this is one signature. So once you have your one signature together, set it aside and do the rest. I've already got all of my signatures put together right here. So I am set with my signatures. You should have enough paper in your take-home components for 4 signatures. You'll also find that there are 2 sheets of harder cardstock in your take-home components. You'll want to fold those in half. this is a flyleaf, so this will be going at the beginning and the end of your book. The next thing we need to do is we need to create a key. So this key is actually going to help us decide where our holes are going to be. So we'll take a ruler and then a pencil. And what we're going to do is we are going to mark in the center seam at a 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 2.5 inches, 4 inches, 4.5, 6 inches, 6.5, and then 7.5 inches. So this is actually where we will then be punching the holes to sew. You can actually measure this out however you'd like, but it is recommended to have 6 in the center and then 1 on each end. You'll notice that this side is actually slightly smaller than this side. This is partially due to me just being lazy and not wanting to figure out proper math for how it would evenly distribute. But I think that's okay. It's not going to affect our binding radically. Once you have your holes marked, you can take your needle, and all you're gonna do is you're gonna line it up here. You're gonna punch and pull through. Punch, pull through, punch, pull through. These center ones can be a little bit tricky. There we go. Punch, pull through, punch, pull through. For each one, you're going to just do the same thing. Try not to stab yourself also. Oh, and see, I missed this. I wasn't paying attention. So I'm actually going to just go ahead and do this. Be more careful than me. I'm going to make the excuse that I'm trying to record while doing this, and so I'm kind of working at an awkward angle. But you do what you need to do to make sure your holes line up correctly. And last one. There we go. Okay, so we have all of our holes. And this is the second hole. That's actually the one we want. So I'm going to go ahead and just mark that to make sure I know that's the one I want. Once you have this done, and I'm sorry if I didn't say, you will use the cardstock for this, the flyleaf. You can then take your signature and open it up to the center so that you have all of them like so. Then take your flyleaf, your key with the holes, insert it in the center, line it up, and then you can take your needle and you can poke it through all of these at the same time. Now you got to be careful that your pages don't move too much, otherwise it'll throw them off a little bit. But overall, it's not too bad. It's okay for it not to be perfect. Remember that. We're making a handmade journal, and part of the quirks of it are what's going to give it the character and the personality that you want. So we'll just go through here. Last hole. Okay. Once you've done that, you'll take your flyleaves out, and You can then use your key, your flyleaf, your key, to do all of your signatures in the same way. Since there is one long and one short side, you want to make sure that when you're stacking them, you make sure that you stack the long and short sides appropriately, because otherwise that will mess it up when you go to actually stitch them together. I have gone ahead and already punched the holes in all of mine. So I have all of mine punched. So you'll do both flyleaves, so that's this one and this one at the end, and then all 4 of your signatures. Now that you have all of this done, you could start binding, but I'm going to recommend that you start making your cover right now, particularly if you're using the take-home components provided by the library. This will allow for drawing time on the actual cover if you decide to decorate it. You do not have to decorate it. You can do so if you would like. I'm going to put a small collage like I did with the other one on top of this. Collage materials are not provided in the take-home components, but you can easily get them from the library. We sell old magazines for 25 cents a piece, or you can just take recycled materials that you find elsewhere. So to do this, I just took a couple of magazines and I cut them up into strips like so. So just 3 pages worth or so. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's see here, which side do I want? I like this side. Yeah. So I'm going to just start laying them down like so. Oh, that's not a good one. We'll throw that away. No. You know, just kind of just pick your colors and maybe where you want them to go, how you want them to rotate. Doesn't look too bad, but maybe it's just a little bit boring. So let's actually switch this, and we'll put this one here because it matches with the blue. And then I'm actually going to, I think I'll tear these, tear that, and tear that, and I'll go ahead and tear this one, and I'll tear this one too. And actually, I'm going to flip this one over actually, and then I'll tear it here, I think. Yeah, so I think that's looking good. You want to make sure there's a little bit of overhang so that you can wrap it around to the next side, and the same on the ends. So there's a good amount of overhang here, it looks like. Yeah, so that should be fine. And then I'm just going to take some others and just start layering up over here. So I think that'll be fine. So what we're then going to do, move these off. Now that you kind of have an idea what you're going to want to do, we'll just start gluing. I want these ones on the bottom. I know I didn't lay them out like that, but So I am back, and this is the back cover. So I just did one more real quick, and so here we go. We have the front cover, back cover, or vice versa. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But something easy, quick. Anyone can do it. Even you. I believe in you. So the next thing we're going to do while those dry is we are going to start sewing the flyleaf and the signatures together. So if you have the packet, you should get a packet like this. Or if you have the packet, you should get a set of string like this. I'm using some waxed string. This is specifically for bookbinding and for leather and stuff like that. So it's a craft kind of string. This I specifically, we've written unwind down here because that's how it's wound. So we're gonna just undo this. And you should have 6 feet worth of string. This should be enough for 4 flyleaf, or for 4 signatures and your 2 flyleaves. So I'm just undoing all of this. And then I'll take my needle and let's see if I can get this threaded through. There we go. So you are going to want to thread it through like this and just have a little bit left over. So we're gonna start. Here's our text block and our flyleaves. We're gonna start with the back flyleaf. So if you're binding a book that already has stuff in it, you'll need to be extra careful to make sure everything's proper way up and front to back. But whenever you're binding, you'll need to bind from back to front. So I do have this long side and this short side. I want this short side to be my top, so I'm going to bind like this. So this is my top and this is my bottom. And basically what you're gonna do, you're gonna take your needle, oops, and make sure your thread doesn't get too tangled up. But take your needle, and to start, you'll just go through this bottom one. Or I'm sorry, we'll go through on this side. So go through from the outside. And we will pull. Again, making sure we don't get knots in our thread. We're gonna pull most of it through. We're gonna leave just a little tail out here at the end. So just leave a tail. And then this first flyleaf is pretty simple. We're just then going to go through here. Pull. Sometimes it'll get caught up here, so you need to be careful of that. Okay, cool. Nice tight. And then we just do the next. And so on and so forth, all the way to the end. So we just go through here. Oh, and see, and I do have a little knot already. So just gotta be careful about those knots, but just keep your thread kind of loose. And we go through the next. sorry if I get a little off center. I can't see the camera while I'm working. I'm just trying to keep it in the workspace itself. Now, if you're working at a table, this is actually a little easier if you're working at the like table edge. I can't do that right now because I am recording the video, but I would recommend if you're doing it yourself, work at the table's edge, and so you can kind of like just weave it in and out around the table. Oops, and see, I've come undone. This is always the irritating part when it comes undone. But it's not a big deal. Just rethread it. We purposely have big eye needles. Okay, so this is our first flyleaf. Our first flyleaf is done. Now we're going to take the next signature that's going to go in there. And so we just got to make sure the short side and the long side, this is the short side over here, so it needs to go this way. And so whenever you're attaching this one doesn't have anything real special to start. You're just going to make sure you open up all the way to the center here. Oh, if I open up to the center. Nope, see, and that's not the center. Okay, so here we go. Make sure it's all lined up correctly. And we're gonna go through this hole from the outside. Oh, and see, I missed. And this will tug just a little, you gotta pull. Pull, 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 pull. Once you start having less string, it gets a little bit easier to manage all of this. So this isn't a big deal right now, this first one, but since it's in here, we go through. Pull, 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 pull. Okay, here's the next part that you need to know. So for here, we're gonna take our needle, and we're gonna tuck it underneath this stitch here. And then we're just gonna pull. You'll want to try and keep everything kind of in the right spots. Okay. And then you put this back through here. So open up to the center. So it'll look kind of like this. It'll be like crossing over one another. Now we go out again from here. Try to keep everything lined up roughly. We'll go underneath this one. Don't grab that. There we go. And then go back through here. Nope, and see, I don't think I got through all the pages there. Let's see here. There we go. So as you're doing these stitches, this is where you actually have to make sure you're keeping everything kind of tight and working your way through. Because otherwise you'll have loose binding, which I tend to do anyways. But just try to keep it as tight as possible. Again, this is easier when you're doing it on the edge of like a table. But we don't all have that luxury. Okay, so for this first flyleaf that for this first signature we've done, we're actually gonna just take this and we're gonna tie this on here. Let's just do 2 like granny knots or whatever, 2 square knots. 1, 2. Okay. Now we're gonna take our next signature, sorry, and short side, long side. So short side, long side, short side, long side. Perfect. We'll then just start again. We'll go back through. And there I've come undone again. Okay, so we're inside here now. And so here I made a mistake and I double punched this hole too. So mistakes happen, that's okay. So here we're getting a little messed up there. I'm trying to keep everything lined up. And here is where you can start really tightening some of these things in. Come on. So, now that you have 2, we're going to then tuck this under the one directly beneath it. So not the whole thing, just the string beneath for the signature beneath this one. Oops, and so I missed one. stitch from the signature underneath. Okay, so here's where it might get a little bit tricky again. We're gonna do something a little different. So we're gonna take our needle, we're gonna go in between these two pages, in between. So then we're gonna go out and under this stitch here. And then, as we get this loop here, we're gonna go around, under, and over like this. So pull through, pull through, pull through, and then you can start tightening up. And this just makes a little knot kind of there at the end. See that? That helps hold it together. We can then take our next piece, small, large, and begin again. Over here. This all lined up, tight as can be. And then just the one underneath. So not all of them. You just need the thread from the one underneath. This will get a little trickier as if they get real tight. Try not to go through the thread. Try definitely to get under it though, because otherwise you could mess up the binding. Actually, I'm gonna go back out here. I don't want to make a knot. So we've reached the end again. Just make sure our tight. Take our needle and we'll go underneath the last one. Actually come out through here. Go around like this. Cool, nice little knot there. Perfect. Okay, so I have one more signature and then I have my flyleaf left. So line that up, grab my needle. Let's begin. And as you're probably getting tired of me hearing, we'll go underneath here, pull that through. Oops, too much. Circle around to make a knot. And pull tight, cool. Okay, so now I just have my last fly leaf to attach. So short side, long side, short side goes up here. I'll just do it like the rest of these. So for this size of book, so roughly 9-inch long or so, you need about a foot per flyleaf and or signature. Worth of string. Obviously, if you get larger paper to make a book with, though, you'll need more string. But I would just take the length of your book plus a couple of inches times the number of flyleaves, or times the number of signatures you've got, and then plus your flyleaf, because that will give you a good estimate, I think, of how much string you'll need whenever you're binding. Okay, and so here, remember, this is the one I messed up on earlier, and so I marked this hole. This is the hole I want to use, so I'm going to go use that. And I hope you've noticed that I have messed up multiple times here now, and oops. That right there. I just want you to know that, you know, messing up is just part of making things. You got to mess up to learn and get better, and the sooner you mess up, the sooner you learn from it, and the sooner you do better the next time. No one got good at anything by doing it perfect the first time, because no one did anything but perfect the first time. And just like the rest, we're gonna tuck this underneath here, pull through. I don't wanna go like that. Nice, so we have a nice little knot there. And I'm just gonna go ahead and make another knot. Right down there. And I'll probably just tie this together just because. You don't have to. You just need one knot there to kind of secure it together, but I like overkill, so. Okay, so now, we have a bound text block. You can cut off these little stringies if you like, or you can leave them, doesn't matter. Earlier I said that you could cut your pages before or after if you were going to do it, and you'll notice that these aren't evenly aligned. That's partially because of the binding, that's partially because of how the pages line up. If you did want this straight, you could take a ruler with this one, hold down and take a utility knife or X-Acto blade and cut along this multiple times so that you'll be cutting 2 or 3 pages at a time until you get a nice straight edge. And you can do that on both the top, bottom, and sides. I'm not going to do that. This is supposed to be a personal journal, and it's supposed to be a little bit rougher, I guess. So now that we have this, we need to come back to our cover. So we just need to decide which is going to be the front and which is going to be the back. And so we can do that kind of by just like putting it together, and maybe we'll see what we like. Does that look all right? Maybe I want this one to be the front. So we can do this one. I don't know. I think I liked it better this way. So this is going to be the front cover. And this will be the back cover. Cool. So from here, you just need to get your glue out. And we're gonna just cover everything. Okay. And you're just gluing your fly leaves to it. So this back edge. So you don't want to go all the way to edge probably, but just enough. And I like it so that the back of the spine of my book is aligned with this roughly. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And otherwise just try to make it kind of centered. A little bit there, a little bit there. And then you can just push. Now, it's not going to be perfect because, like I said, nothing is perfect, and this is also not meant to be perfect, truly. I'm going to go ahead and grab my other piece. Now, you can wait for this if you would like. See, like this is loose. I'm going to tack that down some. You don't have to do these at the same time, but I'm going to go ahead and do them right now. If you go too far to the edge, some of your pages will glue to the edge. It's not a big deal, you can just peel them off, but it might be a little annoying. Okay. So here, for this one, push, 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 push. Okay, so you'll see the flyleaf attaches, and then you have your text block inside. Now, obviously, this is still wet, so it's not done yet. What I'm gonna do is grab a book, and I'll set that on top of here so that it can, get a lot of pressure and be nice and flat, and then we'll be done. But at this point, you should have a fairly successful little journal for yourself. Congratulations.